You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky spoke with NATO leaders on the sidelines of the annual meeting in Washington on Thursday. As the alliance solidified additional support for the conflict-struck nation, Zelensky said Ukraine was very close to achieving its goal of NATO membership. NATO members issued a declaration in support of Ukraine, promising additional aid and pledging to support its irreversible path to NATO membership.
At this summit, we are putting in place the foundations for Ukraine to prevail, to defend today and deter tomorrow. Yesterday, NATO allies adopted a robust package of practical support for Ukraine, including a pledge of long-term security assistance. Today, we will take further decisions together with Ukraine, making clear that NATO support is built to last, and affirming that Ukraine's future is in NATO.
President Zelensky urged the allies to lift all restrictions on Kyiv conducting long-range strikes on targets inside Russia during a joint news conference with NATO chief Jens Stoltenberg. Zelensky said that if they wanted Ukraine to win, then lift all limitations.
We, of course, if we want to win, if we want to prevail, if we want to save our country and to defend it, we need to lift all the limitations. I spoke about it with partners, with UK leader, with United States President, with Secretary, all of them. And I will rise up this topic with very concrete facts.
And Megumi Lim joins us from Kyiv. Megumi, would Ukraine be satisfied with the outcomes from the NATO summit? Did Zelensky achieve some, if not all, of his objectives?
Well, there's a lot that came out of this NATO summit this week, where obviously Ukraine was at the top of the agenda, and President Zelensky did receive a lot of good news that Ukraine will be receiving more missiles, more combat vehicles, more ammunition, and also more air defense systems. NATO members also said that the first batch of F-16 jets are already on their way to Ukraine, which is good news, and they also promised $43 billion worth of support for the year 2025. So a lot of good news there, but not just President Zelensky, but also NATO officials are saying that these pledges still fall short of allowing Ukraine to mount a major counteroffensive this year, or to even retake any territory. NATO officials said that many of these newly committed weapons have not been purchased yet or even built yet, and as we know, many of these weapons deliveries take weeks, if not months, to arrive and get to Ukrainian front line. So it is looking like Ukraine will still be maintaining a defensive posture for at least the next 6 months. And in terms of air defense systems, President Zelensky has been asking for 7 more Patriot batteries, but unfortunately, NATO members have only been able to promise 3 more Patriot batteries. And as we saw earlier this week, the devastating missile attack against the Children's Hospital in central Kyiv, which is the most protected area of Ukraine, and even then a cruise missile was able to break through air defense systems and cause this devastating strike. So indeed, a lot of good news, but President Zelensky is still asking for more. And of course, at the top of the wish list is an official invitation to join NATO. This is something that was made clear will not happen this time round. But a statement was issued that Ukraine's path to NATO is something that is irreversible, and that is the farthest extent of what NATO could promise this time round at this summit.
Now, China seems to have come into the focus as well during the summit, along with Zelensky's continued pleas to lift restrictions on using Western-supplied weapons against Russia. Tell us more.
Yeah, that's right. Russia was not the only focus at the summit. China came into focus as well. There was a declaration that was agreed by 32 NATO leaders saying that China has been providing and supplying Russia with weapons components and that China, it was basically an implicit threat that if China continues to do so, and China's growing support for Russia will come at a cost for Beijing. Now, this statement didn't specify what that cost would look like, but it is likely going to look like sanctions, the imposition of sanctions against China. Now, in terms of lifting restrictions on the use of Western-supplied weapons by Ukrainian troops to strike at military targets deeper inside Russia, this has been a prevailing plea by President Zelensky. Now, some restrictions were lifted recently, but only for certain weapons and only against certain Russian regions that are close to Ukraine's Kharkiv region. Now, Zelensky did say that this recent policy change did help Ukrainian troops fend off a major Russian advance in Ukraine's northeast, but he is saying that all restrictions need to be lifted in order to even think of a possible Ukrainian victory. He wants Ukrainian troops to be able to target Russian air bases that house jets that are responsible for these devastating missile and bomb attacks against Ukrainian cities and also Ukrainian frontline positions. He also wants to be able to target crucial Russian supply lines that have fueled this war effort. So indeed, this is going to be a prevailing plea by President Zelensky.
Megumi, thank you. Appreciate it. Megumi Lim reporting there.